Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lecture 12 of the YSBC Web Lecture Series. My name is Zinat Islam, and I'm the Relations Manager, Academia Network. We are gathered here today to discuss on an important issue, the issue of poverty and overcoming obstacles with a country focus, and that country is Nepal. Hence, the topic for today's conversation is poverty-focused programs in Nepal, special features of Nepal's people, terrain, and economy. Today, we have with us our speaker, Mr. Shankar Man Shrestha, who has been involved in the microfinance sector for more than 50 years. He is the promoter and advocate of the Clean Microfinance campaign in Nepal and the chairman of the Center for Self-Help Development, CSD, a pioneering MFI in Nepal. Our moderator today is Dr. Lokhman Hakim Osman from the Center for Value Creation and Human Wellbeing, Faculty of Economics and Management, National University of Malaysia. As an academic, he has made it a point of getting continuous support in the form of research grants at the university level and the national level to enhance his research work and teaching activities in the field of operation management, supply chain, leadership, and transportation. He heads the YSBC at the university and has graciously agreed to moderate today's session. So thank you very much to both our speaker and moderator today for being a part of this discussion. It's a very important topic, and we are sure that this will be an engaging conversation. So thank you again very much. Thank you very much for being part of this session. And now I kindly request Professor Yunus for his opening remarks. Professor Yunus.
Thank you, Zinat. Great to see you, Shankar Man Shrestha, and also Lokhman. Yeah, it's wonderful to see you both, and we have a good discussion today. And it's coming from Shankar Man Shrestha. Shankar has been a great friend. He's a long time companion with me. We worked together for such a long time. He's one of the earliest replicator of Grameen idea in Nepal. And along the way, created this CSD, Center for Self-Help Program. And this has been continuing ever since and taken lots of initiatives. And not initiatives he has taken is one thing, but he has an impact in the policy making in the government and so on. Government listens to him because he's respected widely in Nepal. And he is the kind of a #1 voice so far as microfinance is concerned, so far as poverty is concerned. He's concerned with poverty ever since he began his career and devoted all his life into that. So having you is a wonderful occasion, Shankar, to get you to kind of, through your journey, the things that you have seen in Nepal. Nepal is a country of challenges. It's enormous challenges, not only for the South Asian region, for the whole world. Its problems are enormous, but its opportunities are enormous too. So this is a wonderful country with enormous opportunities and terrible challenges. So how to maneuver through that to get to the opportunities and change the life of the people, and very hardworking people. And it's very difficult to miss that point when you visit Nepal, how hardworking each individual is, wherever he or she lives, up in the mountain or down in the Tarai, wherever it is. So there you try to build something, financial system, to reach out to people so they give them a chance, a better lift in their work, so that they can make a better thing out of them in the difficult circumstances they go through. So we'll listen to Shankar on that, his experiences, and see how difficult and how exciting that journey is. And Lokhman, of course, is a young professor in UPM, University of Malaysia. This is National University of Malaysia, and he's the head of, he's the director of Yunus Social Business Center. So we work together in Malaysia and globally. We work in various international conferences together. So I'm very happy that Lokhman has volunteered to be the moderator here in this conversation, because he has an understanding of the region, so he knows what Shankar is talking about, what his life is all about. So I'll leave you, Shankar, with you, Lokhman, to start the conversation, and we'll be listening to you. Thank you very much, Lokhman.
Thank you,
Go ahead.
Prof. Yunus. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mr. Shankar Man Shrestha. Okay, it's an honor to be here today, to be given a chance to moderate this session, because we are in the presence of Mr. Shankar. Okay, as introduced by Zinat just now, Mr. Shankar has been involved in micro finance for more than 50 years. Okay, and in Nepal alone, and today we're going to hear some of his experience and the challenges, motivations behind his 50 years of involvement in micro finance. Without further ado, I humbly request Mr. Shankar to first to just share a little bit about Nepal and about the work that you have done in Nepal regarding microfinancing in the past 50 years. Well, you don't have to go from day one to today, but just share with us what are the challenges, the challenges of Nepal in terms of the terrain, in terms of the people, and how you make this micro finances financing in Nepal works despite all these challenges. Mr. Shankar?
Thank you, Dr. Lokhman. I also thank Professor Muhammad Yunus for his kind words. And in fact, Professor Yunus is my role model, my inspiration in getting involved in this microfinance business. I had association with Professor Yunus for long, more than 4 decades. And he inspired me to be involved in this very important sector of microfinance. See, as told by Professor Muhammad Yunus, Nepal is a country of challenges and also a country of lot of prospects, potentials, and also opportunities. It's a very, very beautiful country. If you have chance to see here, come here and see the natural beauties of Nepal, you will be fascinated. So it's really a very beautiful country. It has very different type of ecologies. Uh, we have Mount Everest and the Himalayan region with alpine climate, and then we have mountains and the hills with temperate climate, and then we also have plain area like Bangladesh, tropical area, which comprises of 23% of the total area of the country. The country has 147, roughly 47,000 square kilometers, and the country has a lot of diversities. The people are of different origins, different dialects, different indigenous groups, and we have different religions, predominantly Hindus, and also we have Christians, we have Muslims, and we also have Buddhists. In fact, in Nepal, Buddhist is very difficult to separate who is Buddhist and who is Hindu, because they do visit their temples without any difference, you know. All the Hindus visit Buddhist temples and all the Buddhists also visit Hindu temples. So, you know that Buddha was born in Nepal, the light of Asia, who has spread the message of peace around the world. So Nepal is in terms of terrain, very difficult. But now, out of the 77 districts of Nepal, 76 districts have been uh, integrated with road network. So 76 districts are now accessible by road. But even then, it's very difficult to walk from one village to another. Maybe it will take a day or two sometimes. And Nepal has full of many natural resources. And you might be aware that Nepal is the second highest hydro potential country in the world after Brazil. But we have not been able to harness the greatest potentials. And we still import some power from India. And of course, in a year and two, we will be a surplus country of power generation, and we will be able to export to India and maybe to Bangladesh as well. If there could be a negotiation with, because we have to cross 17 miles Indian border to reach Bangladesh. So we have to get India also involved on that. But we are a poor country with a lot of resources, rich in resources, and uh, we have 23% of our people under the poverty line still. And we had been struggling for eradicating poverty for last 50 years. And 50 years ago, the population below the poverty line was 46%, and it has now reduced to 23%. Absolute poverty comes under 18%. But after this COVID, we had 6% people again uh, come down to uh, below poverty line. So it means the number of poor people have increased because of the COVID impact. And we had started microfinance in the year 1992. Although we had many microfinance programs earlier, but Grameen Model Microfinance initiated in 1992. And now there are 85 microfinance institutions in operation. And these microfinance institutions earlier were run by the non-government organizations. And Nepal is the first country to initiate legal framework for microfinance in Nepal. And now, in 2007, again, the Nepal Rashtra Bank promulgated Bank and the Financial Institution Act. And under the Act, the microfinance institutions which have been operating under the Society Registration Act had to get registered under this act, and they all became microfinance financial institutions. So they have come under the regulation of the central bank. And now microfinance is the prominent program for the poverty reduction in this country, because they have outreached the entire country, all the 75 districts, and they have been working very hard to outreach all the people below the poverty line. And But even with all our efforts, the main challenge of the country today is poverty. We still have 23% people below the poverty line, and we have to do away with these people under the poverty line. And we have to give access to them with easy access to them with credit. So all our efforts are now getting up towards this section of the people. And we have been trying our best to get them self-employed and become entrepreneur. Earlier, in the beginning, we tried our best to provide them livelihood. Most people did not have food even to survive. They had been struggling for 2 square meals, and they don't have good houses to live in, and they don't have even adequate clothes to put on. So our first efforts was to get them, ready for livelihood. And that stage has been passed to more than 25% of the people. And now still 23% of the population is below the poverty line. And we are trying our best to bring them to the zero level. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, sir. You mentioned about the some of the now you are focusing from improving the livelihood into bringing entrepreneurship to the recipient of the microfinance, right?
Yeah, right.
Right. Can you describe some of the entrepreneurship program that you assist these people who receive your financing? What sort of specific entrepreneurship program that you have offered to them? Maybe we can learn from it. I mean, we can learn so we understand that these specific types of entrepreneurships suits these specific types of sections of the economy. Can you share with us some form of the entrepreneurship that you provide?
Yes, we have, and there are number of organizations providing skill upgrading training for their businesses, and we do coordinate with them. CSD does not give all the training by itself, and the microfinance institutions do organize skill upgrading training by themselves. And also there are some specialized entrepreneurship development training organization which we coordinate with and take them to the target group. And also we have been enlightening the microfinance organizations, their branch managers and the field staff on entrepreneurship development. And we have been having number of time these trainings and workshops and the conferences to enlighten the microfinance leader on entrepreneurship development. And for instance, now we are thinking of integrate the schools also in this business development. What we feel is that we have to cultivate this entrepreneurship thing from the school.
Yes.
And we have already started, and we have been discussing with our network members. CSD is a network of microfinance organization, and we had in our last annual general meeting, we have passed a decision that each of our microfinance organization will adopt a school where they will provide support to the school for entrepreneurship development among the children. For instance, some of our partners have already started, practical thing. They have distributed, say, 10 students, chicks, 10 each chicks, 10 chicks to each student. So the student will keep these chicks, and I'm sure in 6 months' time they will have 10,000 rupees,
Yeah.
So this way, we want to habituate them to undertake this business from a very young age.
Yep.
So this kind of, and we also trying to provide them agriculture graduates to train the students on different agriculture related activities and their businesses, and also give them technical support at their households. This
And
is, we are trying to educate the
yeah.
school children on this micro business.
So
And also, secondly, we have been now organizing training for the children of the microfinance clients. We had interactions with them lastly on 3 areas. And what we found that, what are you going to do after you graduate from the school? 95% of them said that they would like to go to Gulf countries, for employment. So that has been the craze among the school children, and as soon as they have graduation, they will be preparing for going to other countries for employment. And they don't feel like working in Nepal. This has to be, revoked. And we are now trying to educate all these school children through our microfinance members. I mean, the network members, they will be having interaction with the children of their members and trying to engage them in businesses, in enterprises, so that they stay back and they work for themselves at their homes, and also it will help improve the production of the country.
Yep.
So most of them will be engaging in agriculture and agriculture-related activity, maybe poultry or goat keeping or buffalo keeping, dairy, beekeeping, and so many activities which are potential in our ecological condition.
Yeah, I think that
Irrespective whether it is in the hills and the mountains. In the hills and mountains also, we have a lot of potentials, lot of opportunities. And if the problem now is, as most of the children, especially the youth, maybe 2.8 million youth have been out migrated. They have been working in other countries. And now most of our agricultural lands are barren because there are nobody to work, and only the old people and some women have left out in the villages. We have to revoke this process. And this is where I think the microfinance institutions have been working with now.
okay. I think that's really a noble idea, because as you mentioned, the youth, the children are the future for the country.
Yes.
If
They are the future of our country.
yeah, if they are thinking about moving out when they grow up, working at other countries, then like you said, the problems of barren land is happening.
Yeah.
No one wants to cultivate the land. Okay, that's
Yeah.
happening. I think that the way that the microfinancing institutions in Nepal is working with the school, it's
Yes.
rather wonderful. But I just have to add this question. What about those in the upper level? For example, how do you work with those students in the university, promoting microfinancing, social businesses, telling them, hey, you don't leave this country working in other countries. Stay, work with us, work with the microfinancing, work with this land, make this land better for the future. So how does your institutions, yourself, your colleagues in other microfinancings approach or work with those students in the university level?
Yeah, we are now planning to have to establish a social business center
Mm-hmm.
with the participation of our microfinance institutions. And after that, the second attempt of ours will be to intervene or to have dialogue with the various colleges in the rural areas. We basically focus on the colleges and the school in rural areas because this problem exists very much at the rural level. So they will be again having rapport with the after school. We will be having rapport with the colleges also,
Mm-hmm.
so that the and we want to cultivate the entrepreneurship from the very school age, and the college age, not a separate courses for them, There
Mm-hmm.
will be separate courses for the children of the microfinance members, They will be given specialized training
Of course.
on their area of interest to cultivate entrepreneurship skill. So we will be uh, intervening on different sides. And the other thing that we have been trying now is uh, initiating a movement of creating eco villages,
Equal,
eco villages,
equal village.
ecologically sustainable villages,
Okay.
where we will have social dimension. There will be uh, managing the natural resources in sustainable manner, and there will be all the village people, including the children, will be involved in developing sustainable eco-village. Eco-village means there will be participatory development, and there will be the traditional things maintained, well maintained, and they will be also involved in protecting and preserving natural resources, and they will be involved in organic farming, not using pesticides and insecticides. So those things will be there, and we will be giving message that this will create self-reliant village with uh, good ecosystem. So these are the few things that we have been trying to initiate for the rural areas in
Mm-hmm.
Nepal.
Okay. Um, you mentioned about sustainability. Okay,
Yes,
it's topic of interest of every quarter, any quarter of the society. And
yes,
as you mentioned about the challenges that the microfinancing in Nepal has been facing, okay, and I'm sure the issue of sustainability of these programs of microfinancing has been addressed by your office many times, keeping sure that the microfinancings remain intact despite the challenges, economic or social challenges that you may face, right? So can you share with us some of the economic and social challenges that you have faced in the past 50 years in implementing, in promoting microfinancing in Nepal, sir?
Initially, there were very institutions interested to initiate microfinance program, They were scared of losing money. And they thought that microfinance is not a feasible business. It's not a sustainable business. So these poor people are not bankable. They will not be able to repay the loans. But when we practice, and it was found that the poor are more bankable than the other rich people, They are very honest and they never default. And for 7 years, when initiated microfinance, there was no default at all, 100% repayment. Even now, microfinance is the only business which has over 98% repayment. Because the poor people are very honest, dependable, and they don't know how to cheat, They are very reliable people, and this is how microfinance has now flourished in the country, Everybody is now interested. Now, the microfinance are now commercialized. As it was registered under the Bank and Financial Institution Act, they are registered in the stock market, and microfinance share price is now highest in the country. Once it is 5,000, this has been a really problem for us. Now
everybody wants to join.
It is the most
profitable,
remunerable business.
Yeah.
So even the banks are now opening microfinance institutions. They thought earlier that this kind of business, the lending to the poor will never be successful, will never be viable and sustainable. But with the good example of the microfinance institution, now they also are opening microfinance institution as a subsidiary. And they are very warm to provide financial support to the microfinance institution. Of course, we have some problems now in microfinance, the problem of multiple financing. So this has created a lot of problem among the members, borrowing from many sources, and they have been trapped in the loan, so loan trap. And as they have been borrowing from many sources, there has been a lot of misuses also, and they failed to repay the loan. So this is the new dimension of microfinance problems.
It's wonderful to hear that how the first 7 years there's 100% repayment loan. That's wonderful. Yeah, zero default. It's a good statistic. I think it opened up many people's eyes, and it opened up everyone's eyes, the potential of microfinancing. Congratulations on you, sir, for you and your institutions there in Nepal, for achieving that feat. Okay. So we have questions from the audience as well. So for the listeners, if you have any questions to ask our honorable guest, Mr. Shankar, do type the questions and I'll read some of the questions if we have the time. So I'm going to read some of the questions here. There's one question. It reads, Mr. Shankar sir, is how does India helps communicate with Nepal in dealing with poverty, in dealing with the challenges of poverty of Nepal?
You mean India?
Yeah, the question here, it's this your institutions or Nepal itself receive support from India in overcoming poverty in the country itself?
No, we do not have any support from India. And I think so far this microfinance is concerned, we used to say that it is a homegrown and we don't borrow from anywhere. You know, all the resources have been generated within the country, you know. Of course, the microfinance institution do borrow from the commercial banks. Now, earlier, the commercial banks were very reluctant to finance the microfinance institutions. Now, we had to give personal guarantee to borrow from them. But now they are certain microfinance is a flourishing business and it's a viable business, it's a sustainable business. So the commercial banks have tremendous resources. And also, our central bank has made a rule that all the commercial banks should lend 5% of their portfolio in microfinance sector. So they don't have their direct lending mechanism. So they lend microfinance institutions to lend to the poor communities. So this way, we don't have any sort of resources, financial resources, and also 50% of the resources come from the members themselves, you know. Microfinance institutions are allowed to mobilize savings from our members. So that forms almost 50% of the total resources that we mobilize to the members. So this is one very good advantage for the Nepalese Microfinance Institute. In India, I think the non-bank financial institution cannot accept deposits, savings from there in the very beginning. We have the privilege that we could mobilize resources from the members, and that comes around 50% of their total resources. That's a great advantage. Then we also can borrow from the commercial banks. The commercial banks are now full of resources. They have the high liquidity. So they are very want to lend to the microfinance institution, which is now a flourishing sector, and also microfinance in Nepal in terms of return is doing far well.
Okay. So you mentioned about the challenges as well that the microfinance even Nepal is facing during this challenging time, especially during this COVID-19 times. Can you share with us what this impact of COVID-19 has on the microfinancing system in Nepal, or is it offer more opportunity for the microfinancing to operate better during this time of challenging, during this COVID-19 time?
Yeah, COVID has definitely made negative impact in the microfinance institution and their members, you know, because for 4 months, there was no movement at all. That time, all the microfinance institution staffs, you know, used to have connection with their borrowers with mobile, you know, just communication. And we didn't give any pressure to them to repay, you know, because their business was almost shut down. But gradually now, the microfinance members started repaying their firstly, their interest, and our report says that 90% interest have been paid, uh, on time, 90% interest, and the 60% installment also were paid on time. And the rest of the microfinance members, they were given 6 months time to repay the amount that they could not pay due to COVID. They are now gradually paying back all the dues that they had not been able to repay during the COVID time.
Okay.
Now, COVID also is now decreasing to a large extent. And the day before yesterday, there was only one death case. It means COVID is now gradually getting out.
What's the daily cases there?
There was impact, but our people, especially, I think we don't have to scare up. Microfinance members are very honest, and they have the repayment culture because they used to repay on time. So they could, and also during that time, they were the less suffered people because they could get, when they have scarcity of food, and the microfinance institution were there at their doorsteps with the relief packages. Not only that, when they need money, they are offered to withdraw their savings. So microfinance members are the least suffered people during the COVID lockdown and aftermath.
But they are able to face the challenges, right?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I'm going to read one question from Mr. Bharat Dugana. The question reads like this: most microfinance institutes are concentrated in suburban areas. So how can it be built up for rural and how can it be built up for rural and vulnerable people? What's your comment on that question, sir?
Yeah. Initially, when we started microfinance, our target group was the poorest of the poor. We reached the poorest, and we were fascinated to see their honesty. Those people, they, they are pure people. They are very good people. So trusting them, you trust them, you will not betray you.
Yeah.
So our trust was on reaching the poorest of the poor. Now also we have so many microfinance institutions already now operating 85, and they have been trying to outreach even the remotest areas. See how they do is, the problem is how to collect money. What they do is they go from village to village. One staff of microfinance borrowers in difficult terrain. They go and attend the group meeting of one center, and then they don't come back. They go to another center, then another center on foot. They go and provide service. Even in those areas, there are a lot of business potentials. Different type of businesses. In urban area is a different type of business. In the rural area is a different type of business. For instance, mostly even in hills and the mountains, livestock and the food keeping, this chicken keeping, poultry, and all those things are very much possible. For instance, in some places, maybe local chicken, which is very, very, productive, which generates a lot of income. Such things are practiced depending on wherever there are people, there are some potentials.
Yep.
They can business. In the high mountains also, they might be running some restaurants, some homestays for the tourists, and they make good return out of that, and they do repay on time.
Agree.
Repayment is not a big problem in microfinance.
Okay. I, one last question. I'll take from the audience. We're coming to our uh, few, final few minutes. I just want to read one last question from Mr. Anit Jung Pandey. He's just interested in what sort of new programs or upcoming ventures of your institution, CSD, has planned for the future or plan for these challenging times and during this COVID-19 time. Do you have any upcoming ventures or programs planned in this near future, sir?
CSD is the first licensed microfinance institution in Nepal. Now, after 7 years of microfinance operation, CSD promoted a microfinance bank called Swabalamban Lagu Vitta Vikas Bank. Swabalamban, it means self-help microfinance organization, and transfer entire its portfolio to that organization. That organization is one of the largest microfinance organization in Nepal. And after transfer of its portfolio, CSD is now converted into a network organization. We have about 50 microfinance institutions as our members. We have been playing the role of a network, it's a link institution for all the microfinance institutions. See, and the CSD is now not directly operating microfinance, and it has been helping its network members, microfinance institution, in training, in organizing seminars, in organizing exposure visit, and now from this year we have two new components. One is we have been driving the movement of developing eco-villages, and each of our member organizations, microfinance institution, is planning to initiate one eco-village, as I discussed earlier. And then also they have another program of partnering with local school for students, entrepreneurship, skill development. And also we have been running a movement of developing entrepreneurship among the microfinance clients, and also to the staff of the microfinance institution by connecting or by coordinating with other specialized skill providing institutions. So we don't have any branch of ours. We have been a support organization for microfinance institution now, CSD.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think we've come to the end of our sharing sessions. If given the time, I would like to ask you more questions regarding your wonderful work with CSD and your wonderful work in Nepal. But we are limited by time, so I thank you, sir, for that sharing. I think it's been a wonderful sharing sessions. The audience, the participants have listens to how you face the challenges, how you come out with ideas to promote microfinancing in Nepal. I think we've learned from that. Maybe we discuss more in other forums, discussions of how we can actually work together with CSD in promoting microfinancing and adopting CSD microfinancing model in other places in the world. I thank you and thanks everyone for listening. So now I pass the room back to our MC to make the concluding remark.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lokhman. Mr. Shankar Man Shrestha, thank you very much. It was really interesting to hear about the activities of your organization, especially how you mentioned kind of like an overall scheme for development, teaching from children to up to, when they become adults, and how, brain drain kind of affects the economy, especially I think in our developing countries, Bangladesh, India, a lot of these countries were affected by brain drain because
Even
of
in
that.
Malaysia too, we're facing the same challenges too.
Yes, I think it's a big challenge, when people don't have opportunities and homeland, rightly so, they look away and for better jobs and better livelihood in different countries. So I guess it's our responsibility to create that environment at home so we can harvest those minds. Often we see that some of the most brilliant minds in different countries are often children of immigrants or from different places. So we really need to keep our ideas and our smartest people home so that can not only of course do good things at home, and which will have broader impact, that they can pull out people in poverty, and so that we are all on one plane and good opportunities. So thank you very much. Your ideas of the eco village and everything sound great. I think some of the YSBCs, our global YSBCs, and the YSBCs in Nepal should definitely get in touch with your organization and work out ways to work together. Even in Malaysia, Professor Dr. Lokhman, if your institution is interested to know more and learn through more, please feel free to connect. And
Sure.
all those watching, if you're interested to know more how the CSD is doing their activities and how you can replicate their success in your home country, please reach out to us. I'm sure Mr. Shankar Man Shrestha will be happy to share his learnings. So thank you very much. This was really a wonderful discussion. And now this is lecture 12 of our YSBC Web Lecture Series, and we have many more on different topics happening twice every month on the first and the third Monday. So and now we will show a slideshow which will have the rest of the sessions, and also some of our upcoming events like the Social Business Forum, the East Africa Social Business Forum for Youth Entrepreneurship is something Yunus Center is organizing in the month of April. Then we have our Social Business Day in June, and the Global Social Business Summit, and our Social Business Academia Conference in November. So all these will be happening as planned. You'll see a slideshow on it. So till then, we take leave of everyone. Thank you very, very much for joining us, and look forward to having you more in our future virtual events. So thank you very much. Please watch our slideshow, and we'll meet again very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Upholding